Nazi propaganda between 1933 and 1939 was a central tool in the regime's effort to control how Germans thought, shaping public perception and reinforcing the ideologies that underpinned Adolf Hitler's dictatorship. The propaganda machine led by Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, aimed to infiltrate every aspect of German life, ensuring that the population not only obeyed the regime, but also internalized its values and beliefs. The primary aim of Nazi propaganda was to mold the minds of the German people to align with Nazi ideology. This involved controlling not just political opinions, but also cultural and social attitudes. The Nazis sought to create a unified Volksgemeinschaft, or people's community, in which individualism was suppressed in favor of a collective identity centered around race, nationalism, and loyalty to Hitler. Propaganda was designed to simplify complex ideas into easily digestible and emotionally charged messages that could be understood by everyone, from the educated elite to the working class. These messages were then repeated relentlessly, embedding them into the consciousness of the German people. The effectiveness of Nazi propaganda lay in its ability to distill ideas into simple repetitive slogans that could be easily remembered and internalized. Concepts such as Ein Volk, ein Reich, ein Führer, one people, one empire, one leader, encapsulated the regime's goals in a few words, making them easy to spread and difficult to forget. The repeated association of Jews with Germany's economic woes, or the constant portrayal of Hitler as a messianic figure who would lead Germany to greatness, reinforced these ideas until they became accepted truths for many. The power of repetition in Nazi propaganda ensured that even the most outlandish claims could gain credibility if heard often enough. To maintain strict control over cultural output, the Nazi government imposed rigorous censorship and required that all artistic works receive official approval before they could be published, performed, or displayed. This included literature, music, theatre, film, and visual arts. Artists and writers were compelled to join state-controlled organizations like the Reich Chamber of Culture, which ensured that only those whose work conformed to Nazi ideals could practice their craft. Any works that did not align with Nazi values, such as those by Jewish, communist, or modernist artists, were banned, and their creators were often persecuted or driven into exile. This suppression of artistic freedom allowed the regime to dictate the cultural narrative, ensuring that all forms of art served to glorify the state and propagate its ideology. The Nazis effectively used the media as a tool of propaganda, recognizing its power to reach and influence the masses. Radio, newspapers, and film were all brought under state control, with the Ministry of Propaganda dictating content. The radio in particular became a crucial medium for spreading Nazi messages, as inexpensive people's receivers were distributed widely, allowing the regime to broadcast Hitler's speeches and other propaganda directly into German homes. Films were another powerful tool, with productions like Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will, glorifying the Nazi Party and its rallies, while newsreels kept the public informed with the regime's carefully crafted version of current events. By controlling the media, the Nazis could saturate public life with their messages, leaving little room for alternative viewpoints. Spectacular public displays were a hallmark of Nazi propaganda, designed to create a sense of awe and unity among the German people. The Nuremberg rallies, held annually from 1933 to 1938, were massive events where thousands of uniformed Nazis marched in perfect synchronization, surrounded by imposing architecture and dramatic lighting. These rallies were carefully choreographed to demonstrate the power and order of the Nazi regime, with Hitler at the center as the embodiment of the nation's strength. Similarly, the 1936 Summer Olympics in Berlin was used to showcase the supposed superiority of the Aryan race and the organizational prowess of the Nazi state. The games were accompanied by grandiose architecture and meticulously planned ceremonies, intended to impress both Germans and the international community with the grandeur of Nazi Germany. Public rallies, parades, and celebrations further served to reinforce the regime's messages, making participation in these spectacles a form of public endorsement of Nazi values. Nazi propaganda was not limited to promoting political loyalty. It was also used to reshape German culture and society to align with Nazi ideals. The regime sought to instill a militaristic and nationalistic spirit in the population, glorifying traditional gender roles, emphasizing physical fitness, and promoting racial purity. Through organizations like the Hitler Youth and the League of German Girls, the Nazis indoctrinated young people with these values from an early age, ensuring that the next generation would be loyal to the regime. The arts, education, and even leisure activities were all geared towards reinforcing Nazi ideals, creating a cultural environment where dissent was not only dangerous, but increasingly unthinkable. The effectiveness of Nazi propaganda was often greatest when it reinforced existing prejudices and societal norms. The regime exploited anti-Semitic sentiments that had deep historical roots in Germany and Europe, portraying Jews as the cause of Germany's problems. By tapping into these pre-existing biases, Nazi propaganda did not have to convince the public from scratch, but merely amplified and legitimized ideas that many already held. Similarly, the Nazis' emphasis on order, strength, and national revival resonated with a population that had experienced the chaos of World War I, the humiliations of the Treaty of Versailles, and the economic instability of the Weimar Republic. Propaganda thus worked by taking familiar themes and presenting them in a way that resonated deeply with the German people's desires and fears. In summary, Nazi propaganda between 1933 and 1939 was a sophisticated and all-encompassing effort to control the minds of the German people, shaping their thoughts, behaviors, and cultural values. Through a combination of relentless repetition, censorship, media control, and spectacular public displays, the Nazis were able to embed their ideology deeply into German society. By manipulating both the present and the past, and by tapping into existing prejudices and desires, Nazi propaganda played a crucial role in maintaining the regime's power and preparing the nation for the horrors to come.